Ladies, have you been led astray? Did you diddle where maybe you shouldn't have dabbled? Have you been unfaithful to your husband, wife, partner, main squeeze? Well, there's a judgment-free podcast just for you. Raw Truth, Stories of Female Infidelity, hosted by Rebecca Adams, tells the stories of these women from their perspective, anonymously and without judgment.
I met the first man I had an emotional affair with online. He was far away, but he provided me with all of the emotional validation that my marriage was lacking. The first time we talked, he showed an interest in me as a person. It was refreshing.
If you need to come clean, get it off your chest, confess your sins with no Hail Marys required, then Raw Truth, Stories of Female Infidelity is the podcast for you. And remember, it's completely anonymous and judgment-free.
Raw Truth, Stories of Female Infidelity is available wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe today.
Hey, Nathan.
What's up, Mike?
You're a big energy drink guy, right?
Yeah, I only have one, if not two energy drinks a day.
You know that stuff is overloaded with sugar and ingredients you don't even know how to pronounce.
Yeah, I do.
Have you ever thought of having something that's a little bit more healthy?
Well, you know what? I need something with a little bit of caffeine kick because that's why I use the energy drinks.
Well, you might want to try something else. Try Focus. It's a sparkling water with a spark. Focus is a delicious, health-conscious, thoughtfully caffeinated sparkling water. It's infused with a boost of natural tea caffeine and the balance of L-theanine. You get the clean energy you want without the sugar, calories, or crash.
Wow, that sounds really interesting.
And they have a wide range of flavor, including blood orange, mixed berry, cherry cola.
Cherry cola?
Yeah, crisp apple, root beer, grapefruit.
I like root beer.
Yuzu and lime, cucumber and peach.
Ooh, where can I get some, Mike?
Go to www.drinkfocus.com. That's www.drinkfocus.com. And if you use our code TechTime at checkout, you will get 20% off.
20% off? Wow.
Yeah, can't wait, can you?
I'm going to go buy one of these today.
Coming to you from the shores of the Pacific Northwest, keeping you up to date on technology while enjoying a little whiskey on the side, with leading-edge topics, along with special guests, to navigate technology in a segmented, stylized radio program. The information that will make you go, Pull up a seat, raise a glass with our hosts as we spend the next hour talking about technology for the common person. Welcome to Tech Time Radio with Nathan Mumm.
Welcome to Tech Time Radio with Nathan Mumm, the show that makes you go, Technology news of the week. The show for the everyday common person, bringing you segmented, stylized technology information before the mainstream media. I'm Nathan Mumm, and welcome to our show. Our show airs live on Saturdays, 4 to 6 p.m., so that means if you're catching it at any other time, you're going to be catching a rebroadcast. So go to techtimeradio.com to find out more information with that. So again, that means Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, not 4 to 6 p.m., and Sunday. If you're listening to us, make sure you visit us online to stay up with all the greatest.
Brought to you by Captain Obvious.
That's right. Oh, we are actually, you know what, David? It's just me and you today. We got a new guest in here. So
yeah,
we have
yes, we do.
Mr. Gorday was Mr. Mike Gorday was coughing up a lung, and he had to go on in, and he got tested, and we are wishing a quick recovery. And I will tell you now that I know one person that was vaccinated that has COVID-19 on the Delta variant. So Mike, get home and get well so that I can play my Sea of Thieves with you, and get well so we can have you back on the program. I am here with two mums. You got 2 hours of Tech Time Radio with two mums. So this is my brother, Jonathan.
Welcome.
Welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You're in technology also, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am in technology. I work for a company as a manager of the networking department.
Okay.
And have been in tech since I was a little kid repairing.
Move that a little bit closer so I can hear you a little bit louder. There you go.
Repairing the computers that my brother would bring home and leave the parts laying around.
That's right. So I'd bring home old computers that I didn't like anymore, and I'd say, here you go, work on them. And so you got to work on them. But you went to the Foster School of Business, graduated from the University of Washington with a business and marketing degree. Your older brother told you not to get in technology, and what do? I
got in technology anyway.
That's right. Okay, well, welcome to our 2-hour show. We are packed today. We got our A friend from Security Fanatics, Nick Espinosa, is going to be on for a segment. We have one of our interns that will be joining us today for a segment that we have coming on in Gamer Time for the first hour. In the second hour, we are loaded with cloud kitchens. Have you ever known what a cloud kitchen is? Cloud kitchen is the new way of delivering food on the Uber Eats type deal and the delivery service. We got somebody that has a startup company in India, and they're now moving to the States for this cloud startup, and we'll be talking a little bit about that. And if we have time, we have our LACE Award nominees coming on up. That's really exciting. That's our big award show that we do for streaming media, and we may have that at the end of the show also if we have time, but we'll see if we get time. All right. The most important thing we have, of course, is we have David behind the board there. Again, a little recap of what we got going on. The biggest and most interesting stories of our top 5 stories in the first 5 minutes. We will begin and start now.
What's happening in the world of technology? This is our top stories in the first 5 minutes.
And you know what? I forgot to ask you the loaded question.
You did.
So you know what? Before we start that, but they already played that, I'm going to ask you the loaded question of the day. If you had to live with a zoo animal, which one would you choose?
Well, there's a lot of zoo animals that you wouldn't want to live with.
Okay.
Any that are too large for your house
Yeah.
or might smell terrible.
Okay.
So I would probably go with one of the exotic birds.
I hate birds. I hate birds. Birds are the worst thing. I hate. So you know this. So our grandmother and grandfather used to raise pigeons.
They did.
And when they raised pigeons, when they were gone on long vacations, I would go on out and have to feed the pigeons. Did you ever have to do that?
Occasionally I assisted, but I was usually
With
trying
Mom?
to get out and do something else.
Yeah. So I'd have to go in there. And let me just tell you, birds are the worst. Birds, they fly at you. They just barely swing by you. I watched the movie The Birds, Alfred Hitchcock movie.
Oh, yeah.
And so that scared
true
the heck
story.
out of me. Yeah, it scared the heck out of me. And then I had to go do pigeons. I hate birds. If there's a bird in my house or something like that, it's like, Tracy and the kids, you better go take care of it because I do not do flying things. All right. I would agree with you. An exotic bird would be a horrible thing to do. All right. Let's get into, though, our first story that we have here. Story number 1. Very disappointing. Dell is canceling Alienware gaming PC shipments to several U.S. states. So for the time being, Dell will no longer ship their high-end Alienware, which is their video game, high-end laptop, high-end desktop configurations available. The Aurora R12 and the R10 gaming PC configurations are no longer being shipped to California, Colorado, Hawaii, Oregon, Vermont, or Washington State due to power consumption regulations adopted by these states. An order has been placed that says these states will no longer allowed to ship in their PCs because they use too much power. Spokesrepresentative from Dell said that this has impacted their sales that was put into effect on July 1st, 2021, and now they are specifically no longer sending items. Now, if you go to eBay, I can buy one of these, and every single one of these models now are $200 more on eBay. So clearly someone realized that people in Washington, which is a tech area, doesn't have these. So I talked about this with our big production group meeting that you weren't a part of, and I am absolutely irate about this. This bugs the crap out of me because I can have at home a Bitcoin mining machine that will use up 7x what this PC would put out for power, continuously mining Bitcoin, which I guess is legal to do. Which
it still is.
Yeah, which I shouldn't be doing, instead of having this brand new PC that I can purchase.
But I believe that a lot of these laws that are being adopted are because of exactly that, those Bitcoin mining machines that are using so much energy to do its computational power to make the Bitcoin or whatever other currency they're trying to mine, and perhaps are trying to counter just the general energy waste that people are buying these large machines.
So this is going to happen out of television too, right? So televisions, your big high-end 70-plus inch televisions that consume high, right? So I can't get the highest-end Sony television now shipped to Washington? Is that what's going to happen to me next?
Well, at the same time, technology keeps getting better, that they're using less power to do the same thing that our technology was doing 5-10 years ago.
Yeah. That is a crap, though. I don't know. I'm just, let me just tell you, don't let me not get my high-end PC, because what I'm going to end up doing is buying all the parts. I can buy all the parts for a desktop individually ship it to me, and then I can build it myself, and I'm still going to do exactly what you're doing. So I don't get what you're trying to do on your energy consumption deal for laptops. Bad idea. Okay, story number 2. That's how I feel. I'm very,
you feel very strongly about that.
Yes. Don't be messing with my PCs. If I want to play a brand new game on my PC and enjoy it, don't tell me that little wattage has anything to do different than my Bitcoining machines out that I have in the outside area that's just generating electricity all over everywhere.
You're just going to play on your Xbox anyway, though.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, story number 2. Older Kindles may lose internet connection, Amazon warns. Now, let me just tell you this Amazon story, a little bit off gear. I'm going off subject. I got an email from YouTube asking me if I am in compliance with FCC on my Amazon sponsorship.
Okay.
So they literally think, because I bag on our radio show, David, we bag on Amazon so much that their algorithm thought that I was trying to represent Amazon, and Amazon was paying me to do their products. I responded to the email, said, have you listened to my show? There's no way Amazon would pay me a dime to be on my show, let alone do that. So I responded.
It would be in crypto anyway.
That's right. So I just thought that. So here's
so
another
next,
Amazon.
you're going to get an email saying that Facebook is sponsoring the show, too.
Yeah, that's right. It's going to be Amazon and Facebook, because those are the two that I hate the most. That's right. All right, so older Kindles may lose internet connection, Amazon warns. Some older Now, this is kind of... When I bought the original Amazon Kindles, they promised lifetime connectivity. That was the big selling point.
They did.
Lifetime connectivity.
You could download your book at the beach.
Yes. No matter where you go, you'll always be able to have this. Don't worry about it. And their first models they came out with had nothing to do with Wi-Fi. They only had, of course, their cellular service that was available.
Right.
Some older Kindle e-readers will no longer be available to connect to the internet to download new books, Amazon has said. First and second generation Kindles do not come with Wi-Fi functions and include only mobile internet that is available in 2G and 3G. Since 2G and 3G are being discontinued by some of the providers that Amazon has worked with, they are saying that they will no longer be able to be provided service in the United States.
And this is outside of Amazon's control here.
Outside of Amazon's control, but thanks, David. But they said that these devices would always be available. When Amazon was contacted regarding these machines, they said nothing. So let me just tell you, Amazon, you promised connectivity. If you want to play nice in this space, offer a refund of trading in your old unit for a new unit so I can get a 4G compatible unit. Now, this has nothing, again, to do, as you just said, with Amazon. Has to do with 2G and 3Gs being retired by Verizon, AT&T, all these mobile carriers, which essentially Amazon pays on the back end for the ability for you to download books for, and they have everything taken care of. But again, Amazon told its U.S. customers, sorry, starting in 2021, some of our Kindle e-readers are no longer going to work. All right, last story. This is the one. We were talking about this on the way in today. Disney sued by Black Widow star Scarlett Johansson over movie streaming release as a same-day service. Now, I've been all into this story. It is technology related, specifically because streaming devices are what are causing this issue. Now, The Rock just did the Jungle Book. Came on out just
Not
this...
the Jungle Book, the Jungle Cruise.
The Jungle Cruise.
The Jungle Cruise.
Careful,
right.
he'll smack you down if you say it wrong.
That's right. Thank you very much. The Jungle Cruise. Essentially, it is bombing for the first week sales. But The Rock has come on out, Dwayne Johnson, the main star of it, and said that he will not sue Disney because of this. But Scarlett Johansson is suing specifically because her contract is based upon incentives, based upon how the box office sales are done. And Disney decided to release it the same day on Disney Plus, which has made more than $60 million on the streaming service without Scarlett Johansson getting a dime of those services. So, what do you think? Does she deserve to win that lawsuit?
I've got some thoughts, and this topic may come back in the show later.
Okay.
In another segment.
Okay.
Because I think it ties well. Having a popular male actor who's in multiple releases is a bit of a different scenario than you've got a lone female finally getting a lead star in a movie who's been a side character when there's not a lot of, say, female leads, especially in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's a little bit apples to oranges comparison to make that comparison there, I feel.
I'll just tell you, I've seen both movies. I'll see Black Widow 2 or 3 more times again, where I don't think I fell asleep last night watching The Jungle Cruise. So let me just tell you, that was not that good. All right, well, you know what? That is the end of our segment. Our time is up. If you'd like to visit any of these stories, you can go and visit them online at techtimeradio.com and click on the episode section or our blog to find more details. Now it's time to get ready as we go to break to taste some whiskey. Now, we had some horrible whiskey on last week, and Mike hated it. And so
you brought out the good stuff for
I
me this
did.
week.
You know what? I figured my brother was here, and since Mike's at home, we'll save it until he comes back to try some more of the lower end whiskey. So we have a great whiskey here, and we'll be tasting it off the air and seeing if we like it. And at the very end of the show, give a thumbs up if you like it, a thumbs down, Cisco and Ebert rating to do that. All right, when we come on back, we got our Technology Insider with Nick Espinosa, our Chief Security CIO from Security Fanatic, and Forbes Technology Council member, and NPR radio technologist. We're going to get an update on the Kaseya breach, and we're asking him a question on how do cyber gangs recruit online, and is it a real job? How do they grow their cyber gangs? What is a cyber gang about? I've been asked this question a lot, and so we're bringing in our expert, and I'm going to ask him the same questions that I get asked and see what he can give us some information on. So
Are you being asked to join one of those gangs?
No, I'm not that good. No. Back in my early days at Microsoft, yeah, I kind of played on some bulletin board service stuff and did a little bit of fun type of deal, but I couldn't keep up with the kids nowadays. No, I'm not going to be asked to be on there. If I would, I probably wouldn't be able to make it past the first entry question they ask me. But we are going to go to a commercial break, and we'll see you guys right back after this.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's going on?
Guess what? Our favorite sponsor's back.
Oh, it's the puzzle dude from Unidragon.
That's right, Unidragon. Yep, unidragon.com. They have a brand new item. It's called the Playful Parrots. It's a 5-in-1 puzzle that comes on out that actually comes all the way up to the brand new size, which is the royal size. Now they're small, medium, king size, and royal size, so you can get 7 times bigger than the standard puzzle. What do you think about the Playful Parrots? Being a pirate adventurer that you are, Mike, what say you?
Oh, the owl's jealous.
The owl's jealous? Uh-oh,
Yeah.
What's the owl saying about the parrots?
Oh, there's 5 of them and 1 of him.
That's right. That's what happens. You know what? When you're the original, sometimes you get replaced and upgraded. So if you want to get upgraded in your puzzles, now's the time to go to unidragon.com. Again, that's unidragon.com. Don't be fooled by other imitation puzzle makers. Only get your true puzzle from unidragon.com. They're the best, and they're the world's leader in wooden puzzles. Tech Time listeners, use promo code DRAGONTECH. Again, that's DRAGONTECH for a 10% discount code. Discount expires on August 1st, 2021. They're no longer 3 sizes, Mike. Guess how many there are now?
They're 4 sizes.
That's right. They're 4 sizes. Make sure to visit techtimeradio.com/sponsors and click on the Order Now button to go directly to Unidragon. Our number 1 sponsor says thank you, and the owl is jealous.
Welcome back to Tech Time Radio with Nathan Mumm. I'm your host, so we got my little brother Jonathan Mumm in on the show, also co-hosting. So as we come on back now, we're going to do our pick of the day, which is our Smooth Ambler 92 proof, $35 bottle, a little bit nicer than what we've had on the last couple weeks. It is bottled a blend of straight bourbon whiskeys. It's a marriage of wheat bourbon made in West Virginia. 2 different types of rye bourbon are in the process from Tennessee and Indiana, respectively. It's won awards, the World Whiskey Award Gold Medal. And what do you think about it, Jonathan?
Right off the bat, the first taste that I got was really the woodiness, the oak that it's got in there.
Okay.
And I could tell it was a blend. It didn't really veer in any one straight direction with its taste palette. It's got unique elements, particularly probably because of the blend that they chose to use for this. So it's It's very rounded out on pretty much all of the edges.
All right. See, let me tell you, my brother is way more of a whiskey connoisseur than I am, but I appreciate you for being on the show. We have a couple listeners that are specifically watching today's show because they know you're on to give their whiskey appraisal, and they'll take that from that. So,
dude, we'll get more later.
That's right. There's a dude from Mike. All right. Well, we're going to move right on. So, remember, at the end of the show, you're going to have to give a thumbs up or thumbs down. And if
I'll be ready for that.
And if you really want some bad whiskey, we can go pull out some of the Canadian from last week. All right.
I'm glad we're avoiding that this week.
All right. Okay, welcome back. So we are going to move on to our next segment. Our next segment is called Technology Insider.
Welcome to Technology Insider. We get the information directly from the source.
All right, we're bringing up Nick Espinosa, the Chief Security Fanatic CIO, Forbes Technology Council member, NPR radio host, Twitter extraordinaire for technology jokes and questions throughout the week. So if you want to get on his Twitter account, he sends out funny little jokes about different technology items. And we love to have you back today, Nick. Now, our question to you, are you drinking some whiskey again?
Is the sky blue?
Oh, that's right. There you go.
Come on now. Now I am going with one of my favorite standbys, which is Lagavulin.
Okay.
And I've mentioned them before, but I am curious to know, Nathan, if you did get a bottle of Legent, which is the one that I had last time. That was just phenomenal. Or if you haven't gotten it yet, no worries.
So we have, and so that is sitting on my back. I'll bring it back when Mike is here. So we will have that, but I still have to give him one other horrible tasting whiskey. So once Mike comes back, the first week, there's a one.
No spoilers.
And Mike, if you're listening,
and then after that, we will absolutely have it. We'll have to make sure you're on during that show too. So we'll make sure.
I would love it. I'd love to get I'd love to tell me I'm wrong or I'm right. But also speaking of Amazon or another major company paying you when they absolutely shouldn't, I did a video a couple of years ago in 2019 called "It's Time to Put Mark Zuckerberg in Jail." And then I posted it on Facebook and boosted the post and paid Facebook $10 to advertise it for me. And they did for a few days until they actually caught it. And so there you go.
There you go.
That was a fun one. So
that is perfect. That is perfect too. Yeah. So I was so blown away on the Amazon one. I'm like, what? Do you think I'm actually sponsored? Whatever robot AI you have on there, you're not hearing what I'm saying. I may say Amazon a lot, but I'm clearly not saying, hey, we're really excited about Amazon. So, all right. Well,
yeah.
I appreciate you coming on. I know that you had some family event stuff today, so I don't want to keep you forever, but I do have two important questions. I'd love to get an update on the Kaseya breach. Specifically, we talked about that, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago when you're on the air. Love to get an update on that. And then I really want to dig into cyber gangs and how people get recruited from that. But let's get an update on the Kaseya report.
Yeah, so it's interesting because Kaseya basically has come out now and said, hey, we have a decryptor. And if you want the decryptor, we're more than happy to give it to you. And you have to sign a non-disclosure agreement or NDA in order to get this. Now, they basically they have said that they have not paid Revil or R-Evil for this decryptor. And so that's interesting because they publicly denied this, but they're actually, like I said, asking for these NDAs, and it's going to make it much harder to analyze this situation in terms of understanding how this decryptor works, and the inner workings of this, especially with an NDA if nobody is talking about this. Now, Kaseya says that this decryptor they have is 100% effective in decrypting, which basically is leading many cybersecurity experts, including myself, to believe this key actually came from Revil directly before Revil disappeared. The question remains, though, did they actually get it directly from Revil, or did they get it from an intelligence or law enforcement agency that might have hit Revil and then turned it around and given it to Kaseya quietly? That's a real speculation here. We don't have confirmation either way on that one, but that's essentially where we're at right now. Also, Kaseya has other products out there, one of them being Unitrends, which is a backup solution that had apparently zero-day vulnerabilities in that, which actually reinforces something I said the last time I was here, and that executives from Kaseya have essentially anonymously come out to outlets like Bloomberg saying that Kaseya was really focusing more on sales than they were on software development and security. And here we are, Unitrends obviously being a major player, in mid-sized to enterprise backup solutions. So that's obviously a huge problem, but good news, for those companies that were affected, if they need a key, Kaseya can actually give them the decryption key they need.
Yeah, so very, very, very interesting. That's a great analogy of that, right? So supposedly they didn't get it from the evil people that created the crypto, but they had it the encryptor very quickly, and they want you to sign an NDA to get it. Yeah, all of that stuff is so fishy. Specifically, another part of Kaseya is they have another side little small company called IT Glue, which isn't as small, but that is essentially a document management area where they keep users' passwords, information, and it's known that during this breach, that IT Glue library for all these clients was also compromised. So a very interesting, very shady type of deal to sign an NDA as a customer afterwards to get a decryptor.
And I would say the interesting part of that too is that during the data breach, as they were going to their actual customers, these are the IT companies, the managed service providers, that are administering these 2,000 odd companies that got hit through this. They were being rather transparent to say, here's what we're doing, here's how we're trying to remediate this and all of this, and then to turn around and do this. That it is a bit suspicious to me in that sense. I'm not saying that Kaseya is doing anything wrong here, but to keep your cards close to your chest after going through something this big is a very serious problem. The Japanese actually have a saying that says the only way forward is through truth. And I think this is one of those things where transparency is just beyond key.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right, so let's move on.
Well, I don't know if this was intended as a segue into this next question that you're going to talk about.
What's that?
But if you had your hacking group, Revil,
yep,
and if you have a rival hacking group,
yeah,
and you wanted to dismantle the work that your rivals were doing, how better would you do that by helping another company that they just
that could have happened too. I just find it very clearly they don't have the technology chops to stop a breach happening, and now all of a sudden they have the technology chops to have a
right. So it sounds like it came from somewhere outside.
Well, I will say this though, Jonathan, that would assume that a rival group had the cryptographic capability to break strong encryption created by somebody else,
or knew something.
Think about it. Imagine a person locked out of a Bitcoin wallet and doesn't have their passphrase or their decryption key. You have to find a way or a vulnerability through that, because odds are the encryption in the wallet is going to be so tight that you're not going to be able to do that.
That's right.
And so by virtue of that, if I'm a rival gang to Revil, the last thing I want to do is waste my time. I would rather say, look, these guys are hot in the news right now. Come to me. Nobody's talking about me in the news. You're going to be more safe from law enforcement intelligence agency. I'd let them burn.
That's true.
That would personally be what I would do if I was a criminal. So
that makes sense. All right. Talking about Revil. Revil retires, and then immediately it's just kind of interesting. We have this brand new group that just popped up called Black Matter, announcing a new ransomware. It was really big on the Russian language forums, that offering the greatest hits or the greatest hacks that were previously done by Revil that has been disbanded. So, is that just reskinning your group and kicking out a couple members and adding in some new members? Is it a brand new group? The story is still out on that. It's very interesting that some of the terminology used in this new group's area is using the same exact code that Revil used previously. But let's ask you the next question, Nick. I wanted to all of a sudden become a cyber criminal, or not really, but if I did, and I was to enter into one of these cyber gangs, how do they go about recruiting people to their gangs?
Sure. And in terms of just with the previous point with Black Matter, it is looking like there are remnants of Revil, DarkSide, and another group called Lockbit that are actually there. I think what will emerge from Black Matter really depends on what we see in the IOCs or indicators of compromise. That we'll see, is this just a rebranding of Revil? They pulled up stakes and laid low for a little bit, and now here we are. We'll see. But to get to your question regarding recruiting into a cyber gang, first thing first, money attracts talent, right? So, for example, in September of last year, Revil deposited $1 million worth of Bitcoin on a Russian-speaking hacker forum as part of a drive to recruit more members. They did this basically to prove that they had the financial means to employ new recruits. They also announced that they were specifically looking for new affiliates as well, who would be responsible for hacking organizations. Now, after that, these forums in Russia actually, as they were popping up, started banning these recruitment efforts because they didn't want to come under the target of international law enforcement. And so now a lot of these groups have started to leverage their own websites, meaning the leak sites in the dark web, as well as other sites they're putting up to promote features of their encryption tools, basically saying, hey, we are not Revil, we're Black Matter, we're somebody else, and we have the best stuff out there, so please come use our stuff and we will profit share with you. If you can if one of these groups can find a previously unknown hacker, a criminal hacker, and start leveraging them for these attacks, then it greatly benefits the gangs, because it makes their core members harder to attack and harder to track as well for law enforcement. Now, one interesting example of this that I want to bring up is a ransomware as a service group known as Himalaya. A lot of people don't know who Himalaya is. And for affiliates, they've actually put out there on their site that they will basically give you a 70% commission and an all-around designed encryption malware that you can use, which is known as FUD, fully undetectable, and they will give this to you. They want 30%. You can take 70% of the ransom that you can get using their service. And I think one thing to note here is that, like the former Revil and Black Matter, Himalaya actually spreads out basically a strict rule regarding its targets. So like Revil, they're saying they're not going to attack medical services. They're not going to attack nonprofits. They're also not going to attack governmental agencies, which is typically what gets them high profile. Think, SolarWinds and hacking the treasury kind of thing, which obviously wasn't Revil, but those are the kinds of things they want to avoid for scrutiny. Colonial Pipeline would be another one that doesn't obviously speak to the supply chain. So I don't have to hit a hospital, but if I hit the manufacturer of the PPE or the trucking company that moves that PPE out, that's an issue. So as we are looking at these recruiting, we're seeing them basically pop up, advertise excellent rates, what they'll do for you and everything. And the nice part about ransomware as a service, if you're a criminal, is that you don't have to be a cryptographer, to figure out this new and unusual cryptography that nobody can break in order to hit it. You're just using what they are creating themselves as a service, and everybody's making money and everybody's winning, obviously, except us, the general public.
That's right. All right. So let's talk about, what are the salaries for these people? Do they get paid salaries if I'm a part of a crypto gang and I make it on there, or do they get paid based upon customer breaches? How do they go about funding and keeping these cyber criminal gangs kind of in place?
Other than that 30% commission.
Other than the 30% commission,
right,
correct. Like
right.
the actual workers that do the cryptology, not the people that say, hey, here's a company I can bombard. Let's go after this commercial property and different stuff. But how do we pay the actual intelligent crypto cartographers of what's being done there?
Right. So understand, for the record, that usually these things are kind of partnerships, but they typically pay through the job. So, for example, if I'm a partner in a cyber gang and I'm building the actual cryptography that's going to hit you, Nathan, and your company, then I'm going to basically get a percentage of that, and every other company that's basically my cryptography is used in. So essentially this is being paid by job based on a formula. Understand, though, that these groups are making millions of dollars a year. Revil alone was claiming 100 million US annually that they were making, and that's not including the payouts to affiliates and everything else. So a single successful hack on the right target can net millions of dollars for an attacker or a group of attackers, even with that profit share ratio. And I think it's important to understand, too, that many of them are coming from areas that are economically depressed as well. You can't really get a McJob, if you will. So when faced with either not having a job or, let's say, a really poorly paying one, this is a way for them to live very well. And if you're being directly trained by a gang, they're basically pounding it into you that all you're doing is hitting fat, rich Americans. So it's, no harm, no foul. The Americans can afford it, and they've got insurance, and so we're making money off of them, and you're basically living high on the hog in that sense. So by virtue of that, if I'm joining a criminal enterprise, I'm going to want a percentage of every hit, especially if they're using my technology, my creation, my intellectual property, if you will. Or if I'm part of the gang and I'm doing something, I'm also going to get a percentage. And when the average payout of these things is something like $80,000 a ransom, and we've got tons of these going on, I'm going to be making Ferrari money. Let's just put it that way. It's going to be a lot of cash.
That makes sense. All right, last question before we go, because we've got a busy day today.
No worries.
How do you move up if I'm a good cyber hacker and I wanted to create, like, let's say I used to play Quake too, and I was a really good Quake guy, And I had a clan, right? So we created a clan and I had tryouts. And then when people got too good to be in my clan, they went on out and they started their own clan. Is that the same thing that happens here kind of in the cyber criminal gang? If I get so good, I can create my own gang, or how do they go about creating those?
Well, so when it comes to organized crime, this is so unbelievably prolific right now. I mean, it's so easy to sit across the world and hit everybody else, and all you have to do is get in front of a keyboard as opposed to like drive a whole army somewhere. So think about it this way. In today's current market, you either have to have a deep understanding of cryptography so you can create a new method for encryption for ransomware, or you have to be really excellent at something like exploitation of vulnerabilities such as phishing or figuring out ways to get around those firewalls to get into that network. And honestly, you got to have some business sense if you're going to start something, right? How many people, create a business and then fail because they don't know how to manage it? Yep. I mean, these are rather polished operations. Revel was incredibly polished and streamlined, and they required basically due diligence of their people to maintain their security and their privacy. That's why they lasted for as long as they did. The ones that get caught are the ones that are lazy internally. They're not working on their own business, for lack of a better term here. So basically, they have to run a tight ship. And if you're the leader of a group, you're effectively enforcing the quote unquote company policy, if you will, through technical administrative controls. And so those that have some kind of tech savviness and business sense are the ones that will start that, or they will hire the best cryptographers to create something completely new. But again, it's a cutthroat world out there. There are no honor among thieves when it comes to these guys in general. So it's a huge problem.
That makes sense. All right, Nick, thank you very much for joining us. We will have to get you back on when we got our whiskey and Mike back here, and we'll have a little taste off before we do that. Enjoy the day. And if you want to connect with you, how do people get a hold of you?
Find me on LinkedIn or Facebook, YouTube / Nick Espinosa, or connect to me on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. Google me, you'll find me.
That's right. Worries. You will find him, absolutely. And sign up and become a fan of his on Twitter so you can get all of his little cartoons and little tidbit stuff that he sends out. So, all right, Nick, thank you very much for joining the show.
Take care, guys.
All right, when we get back, we're going to take a commercial break, but when we come on back, we have a segment in Gamer Time that is going to be a very interesting segment. Essentially, we are talking about Activision and the lawsuit against them for sexual harassment, racism, retaliation, and other things that they're doing with more than 2,600 current employees that signed a letter and walked off the job. So it's computers, specifically with video gaming and Blizzard Entertainment and Activision on the Xbox and other devices. What is happening in the video game industry? We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Did you know that up to 12 to 15% of Americans grind their teeth at night while they sleep? Yeah, it's called bruxism. I used to work at a sleep lab, and we used to measure that, and it leads to a lot of problems like headaches and destroys your teeth. It wears down the enamel, and it's just very hard on your mouth.
So every once in a while I'll wake up, my jaw will hurt. Do you think that I'm grinding my teeth at night?
Yep.
Well, so how do you go about protecting this then?
The number one recommended way of protecting yourself from teeth grinding is what's called a night guard, which is a custom fitted prosthetic that you put inside your mouth. It usually runs, hundreds of dollars, but I know our sponsor, Smile Brilliant, can get you custom fitted night guards for as little as $45 a piece.
So if you go to smilebrilliant.com and use Tech Time Radio at checkout, you can receive 20% off your complete order. So visit smilebrilliant.com and use the Tech Time Radio at checkout code. Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's going on?
Hey, have you heard of the Highbrow Drivel?
No, but it sounds smarty pants to me.
Highbrow Drivel delivers hilarious takes from serious experts. Every week, comedian Anthony Janot introduces one of his comedian friends to an academic, scientist, politician, or expert of some kind.
Oh, yeah? And what do they do?
Over the course of roughly an hour, the group will offer thought-provoking topics, expert guests, and hilarious commentation.
Well, that sounds awesome.
Host Anthony Janot is critically acclaimed stand-up comedian who has sold out shows in Australia, England, Scotland, Sweden, and more. But we're talking specifically about his podcast now called The Highbrow Drivel. Topics range from ethics and artificial intelligence to astronomy and dinosaurs.
Really? Oh, I love dinosaurs. Do they talk about owls?
Every week, it's a new comedian, a new expert, but the same Highbrow Drivel. Highbrow Drivel is available on all major podcast players and at www.highbrowdrivel.com. Again, that's www.highbrowdrivel.com. unidragon.com.
Yeah, that sounds like smart nonsense. Can't wait to listen.
All right, welcome back to Tech Time Radio with Nathan Mum. Before the break, we talked about cyber gangs. Jonathan, did you enjoy a little bit of whiskey during that break there?
I did get another sip of our whiskey here.
Our Smooth Ambler?
Yes, that blend. I'm normally not getting a lot of blends.
A little closer to that. I can hear you as out. There you go. Okay.
I'm normally not drinking as many blends, so this is a little different from what I'm used to. It's got some interesting, let's just say, because it doesn't have that lack of character or personality. Being a blend of the different whiskeys, it's a little hard to make out some of the
flavors in it,
and elements to it.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to our next segment. We got some big news, and we're going to start it right now. Welcome to Gamer Time. Activision Blizzard staff walks out over harassment claims. Activision's Blizzard's lawsuit is essentially against Activision and its executives. The day of the walkout, they released 2 bombshell pieces in the investigation. Essentially, details have come that there's alleged booze-fueled antics of a group of male Activision Blizzard employees that developed a hotel room they referred to as the Cosby Suite. While Activision is currently in the spotlight, this systematic issue is not limited just to Blizzard, but the whole video game industry in itself. We're going to get ready to start a roundtable discussion up here. We're bringing up Emily, one of our show writers and weekly contributors. Emily is joining us. She hosts her own podcast also. So, Emily, welcome to the show. We're glad to have you on. I know when we talked about this in our pre-show meeting, there was a lot of, I wouldn't say anxiety, but everybody wanted to talk about this. So, Jamar sent the same news article. Gwen sent the same news article. Everybody sent this article in. And, Emily, we absolutely want to get your take on this. We want to get Jonathan's take on this. First off, the developers at Activision Blizzard are organizing to possibly unionize, specifically because they're saying that their developers at the company are not treated the same. So, Emily, tell us where you're from. Tell us a little bit about your podcast, and let's get right into this. Is she on mute? Emily, I think you're on mute.
Okay.
There we go. Introduce yourself. There you go.
So I live all the way on the East Coast in the Tidewater region of Virginia. I do editing work for a small-time political podcast. We change the name every other week at this point because none of us can agree on politics, let alone the topic of our podcast. And I guess you could call me a gamer girl.
You do submit almost all of our gamer articles. So Emily is the person that says the new thing coming on out here. You were the one that said the Steam Deck, which has set me back $390. Thank you very much for this upcoming Christmas. I had to get on that Friday morning to get one. So let's talk about this. Specifically, Activision. Activision's been around for a long time.
It has been.
And what is going... I worked at Microsoft. We didn't have these issues. I had a great upbringing working immediately at Microsoft. What is going on here at these video gaming companies? Emily, I know that you have some thoughts on this specifically. Let's go to you first.
So some of these issues that are pretty prevalent in both the fans and the video game industry is partially due to the failure to ensure the diversity of the people who work at companies like Blizzard. As of right now, according to the lawsuit filed by the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing, only about 20% of their staff is female, despite the fact that their fan base is approximately 50-50. And you can see the sort of toxic masculinity in action because of the games that they produce, like the Call of Duty series and World of Warcraft. And that issue is pretty prevalent in pretty much all of the tech industry. I don't know about like Microsoft, as you mentioned, it's not nearly as bad there. But as a woman and somebody who's pretty into technology, I do face a lot of these issues myself. So it's not really a surprise that this is so much of an issue. I think the surprise is how bad it is.
It is. So I will say this. Tech Time Radio, I would say that we're diverse. We have 3 on this last call that we had 3 male and 3 females on our call. So we got Gwen, who's been a part of the show forever. Emily was on the show, and Alessandra was also on our call. And then it was myself, Jamar, and Mike that were on the call. So hopefully, at least at Tech Time Radio, I would say that we try to be very neutral. We try to be very neutral in our news that we report. We just want to do the facts. We don't want to get too political in what we do. But in the video game industry, this is huge, right? So we have, just take a look at the development of games, right? Most video games created, especially these fantasy games, what do they spend time in? Somehow we have a gal that is running in a bikini that somehow has huge swords and cannot be fully clothed in 90% of the industry games right now. Yet the men will be just bulky, strong, and not have anything necessarily that is over-sexualized about their characters. But why is it that the game industry continuously puts out those type of images within the environment itself? And I think it has to do specifically with the diversity within the company itself.
I would agree with that because, we're all gamers here in this conversation.
Yeah, we are.
And the video games, like you were saying, have represented women in a particular way for the majority of the video game era that has existed here in the history. And if you are representing women a certain way, that means the people making the game are thinking about women a specific way. And if you then are thinking about women a specific way, that's going to affect how you run your company. And the players of the games, in turn, a lot of players that grow up playing these games want to then get a career in the gaming industry.
Correct.
And they'll go and try to get a job at these companies.
So I was doing a bunch of research specifically about why we over-sexualize our characters in video games. And do you know what I found out? Sierra Online, a very old game, right? They had this majestic called King's Quest.
Yeah,
and
I remember that.
And all of the female characters in that series were fully clothed.
Do you know why? I bet, though.
Why is that?
The founders of the company.
Sierra and I forget the other guy. Williams is the Sierra
One
Online
of them
creators.
Was female.
Yeah, that's because a guy and his wife were both the creators of Sierra Online, which used to be in the California North and then kind of in the Pacific Northwest also, and they did do that. So, Emily, when you play games and you create a character in one of your characters, do you pick a female character? Do you pick a male character? And whichever character you pick, how much does that really represent you as your gamer?
So that depends on the company that has produced the game. Companies such as Blizzard or Activision Blizzard are particularly bad about accurately representing women and how, say, they would wear armor in the game. But other games such as the Skyrim or the Elder Scrolls series has been a lot better. But you notice in these games that the only way for a woman character to be accurately portrayed in, say, like body type or the way she dresses would be for it to be a game in which half the characters aren't even human. So it says a lot about how I, as a woman, am seen as kind of an other kind of character in gaming.
Yep.
But it is really, it's gotten better over time, but it is still pretty bad. And sometimes it's just better to play the male character because I don't really want to look at somebody in a bikini the entire time I'm playing a game.
Yeah, and in the third-person view, you got the butt shot of everybody, right? So I mean, you're seeing the butt shot of you. You got a bikini outfit on the chick, or you see pants on the guy itself. Well, so let's just talk about this last thing here. What's next? So this is what I think Activision needs to do. They need to appoint more women. If they really want to take this serious in this lawsuit, they need to immediately appoint more women to senior roles. Look into the LGBTQ plus community. Have people of stature join and be a part of their organization also. And hopefully This can then make an influence, since Activision is a large distributor and developer in the gaming industry, to other smaller companies to have things taken care of.
That would certainly help.
That would certainly help. So thank you, Emily, very much for joining us. Thank you for joining us on this topic. We have a lot of work to do in the video gaming industry, and Activision better get its gear together soon, or they may no longer be Activision. They may be a bunch of other split companies again if they can't figure it out. So we're going to take a commercial break here. When we come on back, we got a brand new segment. We got Jonathan's Just the Facts and our closing pick of the day.
Hey, Mike, as a business owner, why do we form an LLC or a corporation?
Well, that's pretty simple. We want to protect ourselves personally from the liability of the company.
That's right, Mike. The very next thing we should be doing as business owners is protecting ourselves personally from the finances of the company.
Right. Yeah, that's why you want to get help, and you can get help from The Business Doctor, which was founded by Dr. Glenn Smith, PhD in business management, accounting, and finance. Schedule your free business evaluation and consultation at thebusinessdoctor.us.
Enroll in the Rapid Business Credit Builder program and get up to 100K business credit under the company's EIN and the DUNS number in less than 6 months. The DUNS number is really important for your rating on when you purchase other items from other businesses, never having to use personal credit ever again. That's thebusinessdoctor.us or call 866-383-1030. Again, that's 866-383-1030 or thebusinessdoctor.us.
Visit The Business Doctor today.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's going on?
So I just found out that 4.4 million people started business last year in the U.S. alone.
Yeah, I know. I was one of them. And I bet a whole bunch of those were e-commerce businesses.
That's right. A lot of them are growing so quickly now that they can't keep up with orders. This happened to someone I know. They started a business on Etsy, then they moved to Amazon, and they're crushing it, and they make stickers. Pretty soon, they had too much inventory in their house. They were packing everything themselves, printing, postage, going to the post office all the time, and they actually ended up spending more time with the labor work than they did producing stickers.
Yeah, it's a big waste of time if you're running your own business.
Absolutely. But I do have good news. You don't have to ship your own orders if you run an online store. Fulfill Right can take care of your order fulfillment for you, saving you time, money, and stress. That means more time doing what you love.
Really? Delegating grunt work like shipping to someone you can trust is a secret to business success. Fulfill Right is the most trusted name in order fulfillment. The reviews back the statement up too. Fulfill Right has 5 stars on Shopify, Google reviews, and Trustpilot from over 100 businesses, just like your buddies.
Yep. Wow. I'm going to go to fulfillright.com right now, and I'm going to ask for a quote, but I'm going to use the special Tech Time link, which is fulfillright.com/Tech Time. That's fulfillright.com/Tech Time. They're offering $100 off new signups for Tech Time listeners. You get a lot when you sign up from these guys. Service includes same-day shipping, real-time order and inventory tracking, dedicated customer service, and volume-based discount.
That sounds like a great way to get your time back if your business is really taking off. To learn more about how Fulfill Right can grow your business, go to fulfillright.com/Tech Time for $100 off when you sign up.
I'm signing up today.
Just the facts, man.
All right. Well, Nathan, on our show today, we've talked about Scarlett Johansson. We've talked about video games. There's a strong female theme that's going on here so far.
Yep.
And so, a couple facts here. In addition to Blizzard's trouble that they're facing right now, Riot Games 2 years ago faced a similar discrimination lawsuit. They had to hire additional women, and they got fined $10 million by the state of California.
Okay.
Ubisoft, another video game company, was also in hot water. They didn't quite face the same litigation that these two are facing. So it's Blizzard, but it's a wider trend. And now think about our superheroes. Think about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We were talking about Scarlett Johansson earlier with the Black Widow movie. And there's a lot of reasons of why people are trying to analyze why the movie's not making so much money right now. But I think part of it still is that if you think about that character is still falling into the same representation that we see with video games. It's that type of character, and the female representation is being perhaps more still based on the body image rather than on the character itself. So I think society just might not be into Black Widow as much right now.
Okay. Well, I don't know. It's still better than that Jungle Cruise crap that I saw. Let me tell you that. All right. Well, there we are. Pick of our day. We got our Smooth Ambler, 92 proof, $35. I'm giving it a very big thumbs up after having some junky whiskey the last couple weeks. What would you give it, Jonathan?
Oh, well, I'm going to throw this off because
okay.
I am giving it a thumbs down.
I totally expected that. A thumbs down, and why is that?
I'm a whiskey drinker, and this blend, they were taking several whiskeys that clearly had some faults, putting them together to try to make something that's all right. Nothing stood out strongly.
Nothing. All right, so we got our second hour coming on up. We're going to our letter segment, Ask the Expert. We're going to be talking about cloud kitchens. Make sure you guys join us after the hour top here to join us for our second hour. I'm Nathan Mumm. We got Jonathan Mumm and David Brown behind the board. Have a great day.
Thanks for joining us on Tech Time Radio. We hope that you had a chance to have that moment today in technology. The fun doesn't stop there. We recommend that you go to techtimeradio.com and join our fan list for the most important aspect of staying connected and winning some really great monthly prizes. We also have a few other ways to stay connected, including subscribing to our podcast on any podcast service, from Apple to Google and everything in between. We're also on YouTube, so check us out on youtube.com/techtimeradio, all one word. We hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did making it for you. From all of us at Tech Time Radio, remember, mum's the word. Have a safe and fantastic week.